Guys, it's launch day 2024 for Elite Archery, and we have released 3 new bows, the ETHOS, the Kairos, and the Allure. Today I want to talk about one bow, and that is the ETHOS. And I want to talk about the design behind it and kind of dive into it just real quick so you guys can get some good information. Since 2017, when I started shooting Elite, I have heard about the E35 and why Elite needs to re-engineer it. And as a territory sales manager, which is my job now with Elite, I have heard it for about the last 3 years, at least once a week, that we need to redesign the E35 because they thought it was the best shooting bow. So I have dug into that. And that didn't fall on deaf ears to all you guys out there that have told me that you love the feel of the bow, you love the comfort of the bow, you love the string angle at full draw, you like the accuracy of the bow. All those things were part of the factors, and I want to dig deeper into that, so that's what I was looking at. And our engineering team at Elite is, I think, top notch. They listen to the things that the consumers want. So for years, we've heard that. The engineers have heard, you guys need to redesign this. So what we did, you take a look at string angle at full draw, because no one ever talks about how a bow feels in their hands like this. They talk about the comfort of the bow. When they're relating comfort, they're talking about how it feels when they're shooting the bow and how it feels on the shot. So with the E35 at 30 inches of draw length, the string angle at full draw, the V shape the string makes when you come to full draw, is 76 degrees. Interesting enough, the ETHOS string angle at full draw at 30 inches is 76 degrees. It's identical. So it was designed to actually be the same as the E35. Now, the overall length of this bow is 40 inches tip to tip. It's not 35 inches. People say it's 35 inches axle to axle, and that is true, but that's this little measurement and this little measurement, or these little axles right here, the measurement between those two. But tip to tip, it's 40 inches long. So when you come to full draw with this bow, because it is a solid limb bow, and the thinnest part of the solid limb bow is right here. This is what we call the belly of the limb. At this belly point, that's where most of the flexing is done. So that means this limb tip moves a long way when you draw the bow back. So as the shot fires, and limbs have gotten more parallel over the years in the evolution of archery design, the limb fires up instead of firing forward. And so that makes the bow feel much more comfortable on the shot. Well, let's dive into 10 years later technology, which is what this bow is, because this one was designed in 2014 or hit the market in 2014, and this one hit the market in 2024, 10 years later. One thing I need to say about this bow, this 35-inch axle to axle bow, tip to tip's 40 inches. When you come to full draw, it's 36. So it loses 2 inches off of each end. So that's quite a bit of flexing in the grand scheme of what's actually happening. Now, how many people are bow hunters and have heard of, or may have even done it, when they shot their bow, they hit the railing on their tree stand, or the limb, or the bow hit the ground because they were on the ground when they were shooting, and the limb hit the ground as they fired the shot. The cam hits the ground, and that causes you to miss. So wouldn't you think, from a bow hunting standpoint, that shorter design would be better? So again, the evolution of the way the compound bow works has brought us to split limbs. So I know we've been doing this a while, but sometimes you guys need a reassuring understanding of why. Why are we doing this? And so on a split limb bow, the limb tapers all the way out here to the very end, and then it gets thick again just for the axle hole, but it tapers all the way to the very end. And it actually flexes more here on the limb tip than it does anywhere else, but it flexes more right here because the way the limb is designed, and that's the belly. But the point is, the whole limb is utilized more than on a solid limb where it's just flexing like right back here, because this is really the only thing that flexes, that little short distance right there. And then this end is just moving down. So the ETHOS tip to tip length is 38.5. So that's 1.5 inches less overall. It's 33 inches axle to axle, but tip to tip it's 38.5. When you come to full draw on the ETHOS, it's 36 5/8, 36 3/4, somewhere in there, as good as I can measure. So you see that it's losing about 1 3/4 inches overall, and the E35 lost 2 inches off each end, 4 inches total in its actual length. So the E35 is 36 inches tip to tip at full draw. This bow is 36.5, 36 5/8 tip to tip at full draw at 30 inches. And the string angle on both of the bows is 76 degrees at full draw. So they feel identical as far as that string angle goes. So that really will translate over into the comfort and the feel of the bow. Now, when we're talking about split limb design versus solid limb, we're talking about a lot less vibration. I dare anyone to take your E35 into the Archery Pro Shop, your local dealer that has these new ETHOS, set them up side by side and see which one feels like it has less vibration. I mean, there's no comparison. These bows, the new ETHOS, absolutely feels amazing. It has 0 vibration in it, 0 hand shock. This bow is going to be the bow that I actually shoot for tournaments. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit in this conversation, because we're seeing so many of the 3D shooters right now shooting these shorter axle to axle bows. This bow, the E35, was really put on the map by a shooter named Levi Morgan, who is a fantastic shooter. He won tons of tournaments with this bow, this E35. Well, last year, he was using a 33-inch axle-to-axle bow. Yes, he shoots a Matthews. It's a different bow brand, different company. I don't care to talk about that, because it is the evolution of archery and what is changing. So I want you guys that have been saying once every week that I hear from that say, you guys need to redo the E35. Go check out the ETHOS. It feels the same. It has the same comfort, same let off, but with so many different options on the ETHOS. You can use 3 different mods that we have for this bow, the comfort, the performance, and the 75. You've got 1/4 inch draw length adjustments. This bow is so much better, so much more evolved in the whole grand scheme of what archery compound bows are compared to what this bow was. And even though this is a fantastic bow and still is a good bow today, I'm sure it's out there today in the woods somewhere with someone. But the point is, you guys need to check out these ETHOS. Don't dismiss it because you see the spec says 33-inch axle to axle and 6 3/4 brace height. You have to dive into the specs and what is actually happening in the performance of the product and why it's doing what it's doing. But look, guys, I think those are important things that you probably need to know about. It is the truth, and guess what? The truth will set you free.